Okay. I'm new at this. I'm sorry if I get off track a little bit. But anyway, so how I met my second boyfriend, part two. After 3 weeks of calling every night, I was very. I look forward to hearing from him. I had never had these feelings before, and my first boyfriend, it took me forever to fall in love with him. I had deep feelings for him, but I was scared to fall in love because of what I had seen in relationships that my mom had, and I did not want nobody to be taking me through all these different changes, and I wanted to make sure that this thing was real with my first boyfriend. It took me 6 months to fall in love with him and tell him that I loved him, and actually lose my virginity. So, okay, with all that being said, been calling every night for 3 weeks. When I got off work, got out of school, out of class, the first thing I did was take the phone to my room because I didn't want to disturb Miss Avery, so I picked up the phone on the first ring type situation, okay? So after he was calling, like I said, every night for 3 weeks, and us talking hours upon hours. I mean, I'm tired, but to me, it was worth it just to be romanced, just to be. It was like I felt like somebody adored me, and I was also adoring him. So after, like I said, it had been about 3 weeks. One day he called me, one night he called, and he said, "Hey, guess where I am?" And I'm like, "Where are you?" And he said, "I'm here." I'm like, "What? You're here?" He's like, "Yeah, we're home." I said, "Oh my goodness." It was like 11 o'clock at night, but I wanted to see him. And I was like, "I gotta see you." He's like, "What? It's late." I said, "I understand." I said, "But if it's no disrespect to your folks, I'm coming." I told him I'm coming if it's no disrespect to your folks. Mind you, I don't know where this man lives, so I had to get directions to where he lived and everything because of the nature of how we met. We never had a situation where he knew where I lived, nor me knowing where he lived. And I did, through conversations, find out that, yeah, he stayed with his family. He stayed with his folks. And so I got the directions. And I told him before I get there, I said, "So, not to disturb your family or whatever. If it's no problem, hey, I'm going to come. You look out for me, and we can sit out in the car and talk." And he was like, "Okay, all right." So that's what we did. So when I got there, I had already described, what my car looked like. And of course, I'm stopping in front of his house. So, him looking out for me. Soon he came out, and my heart just fluttered. And then after he got in the car, well, I got out of the car and hugged him. I hugged him so tight, and then we stood outside of the car talking for a long time. And even though I was, at night. It was a little cool, but it didn't, it's funny how when your heart is involved in something, other things don't matter. So we stood outside talking, and then after a while he was like, "You want to get in the car? You seem like you're cold." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So we got in the car and we talked some more, and while we were talking, I had the kind of car that had gear shift in the floor. It wasn't a stick. I didn't learn how to drive stick until some years later. But anyway, so I kind of nervously had my hand on the gear shift, and he put his hand on my hand, and we just sat there and and played with each other's fingers and things like that. But anyway, so it got to the point. I don't, and honestly, I don't even I know how it got to that point, but it was time. I was like, look, I need to go. I got to be at work in the morning. And he's like, you finna leave? And he's, like I said, he was an attractive man, and he gave me the eyes. He threw the eyes on me, y'all. And I didn't even describe him to y'all, but anyway, like I said, he was an attractive man, nice physique. He had light eyes. They were like almost hazel. I don't know what color that is, because sometimes they look hazel and other times they look like they might have had some gray in them. But anyway, and he had olive skin. About maybe six feet, something like that. Anyway, so he was, like I said, in the description, and muscular, not just like I said, he had a nice physique. So it was time for me to go, and we had gotten out of the car and saying our goodbyes, and we started to kiss. It's what I remember. Now, mind you, this is our first kiss, and so it's like, and then feelings start. You know the feelings I'm talking about. Them feelings start like pew pew pew. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I want this man, and it's like, and so I couldn't even, and I don't even understand that, because it was like I ain't had no kind of control over myself or nothing. I was pitiful. I was pitiful. So I was like, well, he was like, hey, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm like, but I want to do this. I was so transparent. I can't believe I was so transparent like that. But anyway, so then I was like, we got to go get some condoms. Because it was no denying how I was feeling. I didn't want to leave. I wanted him, all these kind of situations. It wasn't that he made the first move with the kiss, but I mean, and it was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so he was like, condoms? I was like, yeah, we got to go. He's like, I ain't never used condoms. I'm like, well, sorry, this is not gonna happen. As much as I want this to happen, this is not gonna happen without condoms. So we drove to a convenience store, and it was in his neighborhood, and so I guess the people knew him, and I had him go in and get the condoms. He's like, you gonna make me go get them? I'm like, yeah, you gonna go get them. I was like, what's the problem? And he's like, man. He's like, all right. So he gets out of the car. I don't remember. I didn't describe what he had on because I don't remember, honestly. So, but anyway, so he gets out of the car, go gets the condoms, and he hands them to me. And so I'm like, okay. So, where are we going? I said, you tell me where to go. He's like, the cab of my dad's truck. I'm like, what? Are you serious? And he's like, look, he said, I'm just gonna tell you. He said, I was using the calling card to call you, and that calling card was for my mama, for me to call my mama. He said, right now I'm low on money. I'm like, serious? And I'm like, dang. So my mind is like, what the hell? And so I'm like, okay. I gave in. I'm like, it's clean. He's like, yeah, it's clean. I said, okay. So I'm telling y'all so much, but it don't even matter. Baby, it's my truth. So, I had never been in a cab of a truck before. I knew that there were beds and stuff in them. They had, some of them had sleepers and stuff because of some of the lot lizards that I had talked to. Well, one of them, it was only like two of them that would actually talk to people. The rest of them, I don't know what the deal was. But anyway, from, working in at the truck stop, I knew that they had beds. So, I was like, oh man. So it was like a whole new experience. Because, mind you, like I said, my boyfriend, my first boyfriend, he had his own apartment. The guy that me and him, were attracted to each other. He had his, he lived in a boarding house like I did, but, his room, he had a huge room and the bed and sofa and everything. So, and now I'm in the cab of a 18-wheeler. So we were in the 18-wheeler, and I'm not going to get too graphic, but it was a situation with this young man that, like I said, once again, I didn't have with my first boyfriend. I think my first boyfriend, we've talked about it since all of that, since we've been grown. My first boyfriend didn't have a whole lot of experience. This young man had a lot of experience. I myself did not have a lot of experience. So, and I found out something that I didn't know existed. I found out that it was possible to have multiples. And like I said, I understand having more than one with more than one time is happening. More than one session is what I'm saying. But I'm saying this young man had me like back to back in the same session. And I didn't know what was going on. I was, like I said, I'm green, but then to find out, I wasn't the only, even people who had experience have never had that type of experience. So I didn't know what was going on, and all of a sudden I started to cry, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I couldn't speak because they kept happening back to back, and he's like, "Does it hurt?" And all I could do is motion, and tears just rolling down in my ears. And he was like, "It's good." Baby, all my cards was on the table. I was just showing my whole hand. I showed my whole hand. But anyway, so after that, that was my boyfriend. Boyfriend number 2. And so that is the story behind me and me meeting my second boyfriend. So it's some more to this, and I'll tell in some future stories. But y'all be blessed. Give God the glory in everything that you do in His will and in His word. I know it's funny for me to say that after what I've talked about, but If you have a problem with that, I don't know. You need to read the Bible and see that there's a whole lot of stories in there. And what they do is reflect life. I wasn't trying to get caught up, but I got caught up. So, and y'all will find out. Like I said, I've been silly. I've been silly in relationship. And might have been because he was the one I was silly about. And it might have been because of what I was saying. But anyway, give God glory and honor to in His will and in His word. Y'all be blessed. Bye.